session. So let's see how much value we can add to each one of you. Great. So before getting started, a bit about myself. I am the Director Technical Consulting at Canarys Automations Private Limited. I head the Technical Consulting Division, which also works on the GFS Consulting as well. I have about 17 plus years of experience in IT, and I have been involved with the GFS Consulting for the past 9 years. Okay, so we have a few things to cover for the day today. The first thing would be a very brief introduction about SDLC and ALM, and then we will get into what Microsoft ALM offering has in store for us, and then we will be looking at a real case study of one of our customers who has actually benefited with the use of Microsoft ALM. So a little bit about Canarys. Canarys is a leading IT services provider, and we have customers worldwide, and we have started off from a humble consulting mode way back in 1988, and have evolved up the value chain, and now we offer high-end IT services, which includes a broad range of services like mobile app development, Microsoft Dynamics consulting, Team Foundation server consulting. We have our own set of products. Then we have the application development and maintenance, as well as testing on mobile and web platforms. We are a gold partner for Microsoft, and we are also ISO 9001 certified. So Canarys has been the preferred consulting partner for Microsoft India, Microsoft Singapore, and Microsoft Vietnam, and preferred consulting vendor for Microsoft Consulting Services. We have over 100 customers across the United States of America, United Kingdom, Europe, as well as India. And we have a consistent record of over 80% of our business coming from our existing customers. And we have a spotless delivery of several projects over the past 20 plus years. Okay, so that's about Canarys. So now let's get into the topic we are planning to cover today: how to streamline your software development using the Microsoft ALM platform. So during the presentation, if you have any questions, you could use the Q&A option available on your live meeting client, and as and when we get some time, we could look into those questions and respond to that. Okay. So we all know about SDLC, and basically this is the process definition for simplifying software development, and it covers all the phases from planning to design to development to maintenance and end of life of the product. And we all know there are various SDLC models that are available, like waterfall or spiral or agile and so on. So when we talk about application lifecycle management, it revolves around the software development lifecycle, but actually deals mainly with the governance, the development and maintenance of the application software. And it includes all the different phases of the software development life cycle, like requirements management or architecture, or the actual programming to even the release management. And typically, an ALM solution is something that would include a collection of tools, which could be the integrated development environments or the source and version control. It could be the work items that need to be executed and completed by the team, and capabilities for interacting and sharing information among the team members, and lots of metrics, measurement and reporting. So when we talk about the Microsoft ALM solution, it has some core capabilities. So the ALM solution of Microsoft has been presented as a client-server capability, where the server part would consist of certain core capabilities, and the rest of the capabilities are presented as part of the clients that is used to connect to the team foundation server. So the core functionality that is available as part of the team foundation server is one around planning. So TFS has exciting capabilities around the project management, project tracking, allocation, work breakdown, maybe capacity planning, and so on. And then if you move to the next capability, which is the SCM, it offers world-class configuration management capabilities, including version controlling and sharing and branching, merging, and there are lots and plenty of capabilities which is going to help any software development teams manage their complete software configuration management. Then when we look at the work item tracking, it offers capability for managing the things to do within the project. It could be tasks that needs to be completed, or defects that needs to be fixed, or the requirements that need to be completed and delivered to the customers, and so on. This work item tracking capability not only offers placeholders for capturing the relevant data, it also offers independent workflows which is going to enact the complete process with respect to the activity. For example, if we take a defect work item, the bug work item, it not only has fields to capture the various steps to be performed to replicate the bug. It can also contain information on the bug related information like pictures, logs, and so on. Along with that, it also has a workflow which completes the complete bug fixing cycle, starting from initiation of the bug to fixing, then validation, then closure. So similarly, there are various work items catering to various activities to be performed as part of the software development cycle, and provides independent workflows catering to that particular activity. Then if we look at the next capability, which is the testing and lab management, this is an interesting capability where it offers one features for the testing team, including the test leads and the manual testers and the test managers, to actually plan their testing cycle, plan the type of tests, prepare test cases, and then execute and track the results of the same. And there are other additional capabilities like what we call as a manual test runner, which is going to help the manual testers execute a manual test first time and then automatically convert it into an automated test after that. So it also contains another capability called lab management. This is a capability that is going to eliminate the need for procuring new hardware for setting up your testing environment so that the quality can be embedded into the releases. So using this capability, you will be able to set up virtual environments that could be used for your testing. And the best part of this capability is that these environments can be set up on need basis and toned down once the testing is actually completed, releasing the valuable hardware and other resources for the other teams to utilize it. So then if we talk about the build automation capability, this is an end-to-end release capability which takes care of all the manual activities that is going to be involved when a software is being released. So this is it is like you configure all the relevant variables once, and the tool can automatically take care of your releases going forward from there. So the builds could be scheduled, it could be configured as a continuous integration build where your developers could automatically trigger a release as soon as they commit to source code changes and so on. And apart from compiling your application and making a release, the build automation capability can email you the details of the outcome of the build once the process is completed. So you don't have to sit waiting, imagining what is happening with your releases. Once the release process is completed, you get an email automatically with all the relevant pieces of information giving you the details of what happened and what was the outcome. Then there is extensive reporting and analytics. The best part of this capability is that there is no extra efforts required by the project manager or the relevant stakeholder for entering the data required to generate these reports and analytics. So the data is automatically picked up from the usage of the various features in Team Foundation Server and within the clients. So once the action is performed by the team members, the reports would get automatically updated and you would be actually looking at real-time live reports which talks about the status of your project. So apart from these capabilities, Team Foundation Server also incorporates a process layer on the tooling. So if you look at the blue strip that is here, it talks about certain processes like Scrum or CMMI or other custom process templates that can be embedded as part of the Team Foundation Server. So out of the box, Team Foundation Server offers 3 process templates which could be chosen depending on the type of the projects that is to be developed. So it could be Scrum, CMMI, or Agile. And the process template is highly flexible that you can customize it with very minimal efforts to exactly make the process fit into your organizational process requirements. Okay, any questions so far? We have been talking quite a lot. So if you have any questions, you could use the Q&A option on your live meeting client. We would revert to you with the answers in a short while from now. So moving forward with the presentation, so when we talk about the client layer, so we have the Visual Studio, which supports Team Foundation Server capabilities completely and provides a rich environment for the .NET development. Apart from that, Microsoft Team Foundation Server now provides support for other technologies as well as other operating systems as well. So there is a component called Team Explorer Everywhere, which can be used by other technology developers. And using this client tool, the developers will be able to connect to the Team Foundation server and work with the capabilities from other development environments as well as other operating systems like maybe Linux or Mac OS or so on. And with this kind of a ALM solution tooling setup, we will be able to develop all kinds of applications like web applications or client applications, cloud-based applications, SharePoint, Java, or even iOS applications. So it's a very interesting mix of tools. So not only you have the best-in-breed tools to get your job done, you also have a process that is going to guide you with the proper usage of the capabilities and an underlying rule set that is going to define what needs to be done. So the Team Foundation server offers rich reporting capabilities, and those reporting capabilities can actually be accessed from various interfaces depending on your convenience. So one of the options that is available is a browser-based UI. So using a browser, you will be able to connect to the Team Foundation server and view the project-related information. So if you look at this dashboard, it has quite a lot of information which is displayed here, including the current iteration that is running, how much work has been completed and how much pending. There's a burn down chart which is indicating the flow in which the work is progressing. Then you have a lot of other dashboard items which is going to tell you how many backlog items are pending, how many defects are open, and the live status of your releases. So if you look at the gray color box which says nightly Fabricam dev, so you can see that it indicates the status of the previous 9 builds, and the color is an indicator of the outcome of the build. So if it is in green, it means that particular release was successful. Orange indicates partially successful, and red indicates it's actually failed. and the height of the bar actually indicates the duration that took for the releases to be made. And the other best part of this is that these items which is being displayed on the dashboard is customizable. So if you want to look at something else, maybe the number of tasks that is open and to be completed, it could be added with a couple of clicks. And at the base of the screen, you can see one box in orange which says rooms. So it's a new capability once again, which provides for what is called as a team room. This team room offers a collaboration space for your team to exchange ideas, discuss details, finalize on some requirement details, and probably prioritize the activities. And this would serve as your minutes of meeting. And for all the team members who couldn't make it to the meeting, this particular capability would present all the discussion points so that they are in sync with the rest of the team and everything goes as per the plans. So any questions so far? So please use the Q&A panel on your live meeting client to post your questions. We will be reverting with the answers in a moment from now. And now Microsoft has made it very simple to do project and portfolio management. So the project manager or the project lead can manage the entire project, work breakdowns, project task assignments, project task tracking, and so on from the comfort of a Internet Explorer browser. And you can see here that there are quite a lot of items listed, and now TFS allows you to have your goals defined as part of the project, then probably break it down into various initiatives which is going to comprise of the overall goal. Then each of the initiatives can be further broken down into features and features to requirements and so on. So the entire hierarchy is actually depicted here. So not only you can track the progress of your project, in case you're working with more than one project for a certain customer, you will be able to do even tracking at a portfolio level. And all the items are color coded, indicating the type of the item that we are working with. So for example, if you look at the user story, it is prefixed with a blue line. So with one look, you will know whether the item is a user story or anything else. So features are in purple and bugs are in red, so that visually you will be able to identify the items without having to get into the details. Okay, so we have a question. So the question is Kanban board supported in TFS? The answer is yes. Kanban boards are supported and very much can be used as part of your project tracking and execution. Okay, so we'll wait for more questions to come in. So we'll start looking at the other available capabilities. And as I was mentioning earlier, TFS allows you to do your complete sprint planning and backlog planning, everything from the web interface. So, and along with that, you will be able to allocate work. On the far right on the screen, you will see there are certain items depicted. So one is the work. So you can see there it talks about how many hours of work is remaining out of the total amount of work. And then further down you can see the work assigned to each of your team members. So you can see that I have 5 team members, and each of them have been allocated work, and you can see how many number of hours of work is allocated to them out of the available time. And if you look at the first person, Adam Barr, he has been over allocated. He had only 14 hours of work that he could 14 hours that he could provide for this project, but he has been allocated 25 hours. So visually, as soon as the allocations are done, you will be able to see the capacity planning details as well, so that you know who is overloaded and who is not. And with a simple drag and drop, you will be able to reallocate the activities and immediately see the reflection of the capacity planning itself. So this is an extremely powerful way of working with your project allocation and your sprint planning. And in addition to that, you can always plan multiple sprints. And plan the backlog items in advance. Then as and when the iteration becomes current, you can start allocating the various team members to each of the activities. Okay, so we have a question asking whether we can display the role name along with the names of the team members, like designers, developers, testers, etc. Directly no, but if you indicate the designation as part of the username, then it would show display the name, probably the role within the brackets or whatever. I hope that answers the question. So directly it isn't possible. Probably by working around with the display names of the users, we could depict the roles as well. Okay, moving on. So one of the toughest jobs that the stakeholders have is to track the progress. And most times we all know that there's quite a lot of efforts that needs to be put in to consolidate the various inputs from the team members, put it all together, drop a report, and then we get to know the status. Sometimes the report generation would take so much time that you hardly have any time to take any corrective actions in case things are not moving as per the original plans. So the Microsoft ALM Solution offers you very interesting reporting and visualization capabilities, wherein you can see live real-time information in the form that you would prefer. So one of the great options is building your own charts and reports. So TFS provides for various out-of-the-box reports that gives information about the project status. It also offers the flexibility to build your own reports in case you need any. So this is a charting capability that we are depicting, where with a couple of clicks you can build the chart of your choice, which is going to indicate the current status of your project. So it could be a bar chart, pie chart, or whatever you prefer. And you could even have multi-dimensional charts as well. As you can see in the the far right of the visual there. So you can see that active bugs triage. It's a 3-dimensional report. So where you get a chart which is based on the priority and the status of the bugs and the number of bugs that is remaining. So it's extremely easy to build it, and anyone even without a technical background should be able to build the reports with a couple of clicks. So then there are several out-of-the-box reports, which is going to give you the real-time inputs about your project health. So we have the burn down and velocity chart. So you can see that it shows quite a lot of information. One is the number of hours completed and number of hours remaining. And it also presents an ideal trend that your particular burn down should have followed, so that things are very much under control. So apart from that, you can also see the team velocity, which is depicted at the base of the this visual. And on the right hand side of it, you also have the various assignments of work done to the team members of yours, with the amount of work completed and the amount of work remaining. So you get to see a wealth of information in just one single report, and that too without having to spend any time at all in pushing in the relevant data required for the project report generation. So we also have a stories overview report, which can clearly tell you whether a certain requirement is in a state that can be delivered to the end customer. So if you look at the report, in the second half of the screen you have various requirements listed that needs to be delivered to the customer. And in the middle of the screen, you have the amount of work completed, and if at all it isn't complete, how many hours of work is actually remaining. And the next column after the hours remaining talks about the number of tests that has been set up for testing this particular requirement. And there is a test results column, which is going to depict the outcome of the test execution. So if you look at the first requirement, the work has been completed, and there were 3 tests configured. Out of the 3 tests, only 1 test has been successfully completed. So if you look at the test results, it is indicating 33%. And in case there were any defects which were raised during this testing cycle, it would be depicted in the final column, which is the bugs column. So if you look at the final requirement, you can see the number of defects or bugs which has been posted against the requirement customer finds reviews. And the color coding actually indicates that each of these defects which were raised are actually still open. So as per this report, if you are the stakeholder who is looking at this report, you know that none of these requirements, not a single one, is in a state that can be delivered to the customer. And as once again, I as a stakeholder don't need to put in any efforts to build these reports. These are live reports with the data getting picked up from the actions performed by my team. So whenever I open this report, I see the up-to-date real-time information about my project. Then there are other reports as well with respect to tests, with respect to releases, with respect to quality. So this is a test report, test run reports, which talks about your test plans and what tests were actually executed, what is the current state, and the outcome of each of these test runs. So it's all color coded. Green indicates passed, red indicates failed, and so on. So in one look, you get to know how effective your test plans have been, and whether it gives you inputs as to whether you need to include additional rounds of testing so that you're comfortable with the quality of the deliverables that you plan to deliver to your customer. Okay, it's been very silent out there. So please post your questions using the Q&A option on your live meeting client, so that we can respond to those questions and answer whatever queries you have. Then there are reports like the bug status report, which is going to give you an overall picture about the defects that are pending to be completed. So these reports actually help you to decide whether the bug reporting and fixing cycle is going as per plans, or whether you need to have additional developers involved with the bug fixing so that it is going to be under control. Okay, so we have one question. Are the unit tests that are executed on developer machine aggregated on the server for reporting? The same unit test which has been written by the developers can be utilized as part of the releases. So most of these reports, so once you include it as part of the release, those unit tests are run, then they are actually aggregated and then pushed into the server, which shows up in these reports. So I hope that answers the question. So the unit tests won't be aggregated from the developer machine. It would be aggregated when these unit tests are plugged in as part of the releases. Okay, so great. So we are having a lot of questions. So one of the other question is, how is the requirement traceability matrix taken care? So one of the inherent capability of the work item is that it can be interlinked. So you could link your requirements to your tasks to the source code to defects. The requirements could also be linked to the test cases and so on. So once this link is established, we have standard reports which can give you the end-to-end traceability, starting with your requirements to the exact piece of source code that has been delivered to the end customer. I hope that answers the question. Okay, so we have one more question. Do you have export capabilities for these reports to Excel or PDF and so on? Yeah, so these are reports built on top of SQL Server reporting, and the SQL Server reporting provides for export options to various formats, including Word, Excel, PDF, and so on. So it is very much there. You could also save it as a picture, a JPG, and mail it to whoever is the concerned person. So I hope that answers those questions. So please keep posting the questions. We would answer those as we get some time to answer. So this is an ideal report for bug status where everything seems to be under control. So in most organizations that may not be the case. So it gives you real-time information as to whether you need to deploy additional resources to take care of this ever-increasing list of defects instead of the standard guesswork. So then talking about the developer productivity, there are quite a lot of capabilities which is going to improve the developer productivity and in turn reduce the time to market or time to the releases. So the code analysis capability actually reduces the time required for manual code reviews and saves quite a lot of time with quite a lot of efficiency. And the rules to be validated can be predefined and can be enforced across the team so that they don't get to choose what rules to be followed. Instead, you define a set of rules that needs to be complied with before the source code actually gets pushed into the version controlling system. Then there is the code metrics capability, which with one click gives you a measure of the maintainability of your code. In simple words, it talks about how easy or difficult your code is to be maintained once it moves to the maintenance phase. So it gives measures like your number of lines of code, it talks about cyclomatic complexity, it talks about class coupling and so on, which are very important measures which talks about how well your code is written and how easy it would be to maintain it going forward. And then there is the code profiling capability, which actually helps you identify bottlenecks with respect to performance within your code. So not only it allows you to identify areas of low performance, it also allows you to jump straight into the piece of code which is causing it so that you can work on it and improve the performance. Okay, looks like we have more questions. So the question is, how does code analysis and code profile recommend how to improve the code? So when we talk about code analysis, the code analysis results firstly tell you what is the violation or what are the rules that have been broken, and it also includes certain suggestions as to how it could be improved. So by looking at the suggestion, the developer would be able to rewrite his code so that it is free of security issues or has issues with some SQL injection and so on. So when we talk about code profiling doesn't recommend what needs to be done. Instead, it would actually pinpoint the areas where you have performance issues so that you can start working on those, improve the code so that the overall performance of the application is improved. And you also have an option to compare the reports. So you do the profiling once, you get report 1, then it also identifies you the areas that needs certain improvements. Then you do the improvements, you do another profiling run, you get report number 2. Now you have an option to compare report 1 and 2 to really understand whether the changes you have made to your code has really affected in a better performance or not. I hope that answers the question. So please, please keep posting your questions. We would get back to you in a moment. So looking at the rest of the features, we have the IntelliTrace feature, which is very interesting. So if you look at the various activities done by a developer, the bulk of his time would possibly go in debugging issues reported by his developers or someone else or the end customers. So this is a capability which is going to help developer pinpoint the area of failure with possibly a couple of clicks. So it is a complete paradigm shift with respect to debugging. In a typical debugging, we would sense something failed, then probably we would post some breakpoints to start investigating the code, and probably in minutes or hours or months, as the case may be, locate the point of failure and then start fixing it. So in IntelliTrace, it happens that something fails, you stop the execution of the application, then instead of going forward, IntelliTrace gives you an option to go back in time, go backwards in the program execution, go a couple of steps back so that you can identify the problem area probably within a couple of minutes instead of a couple of hours in the usual terms. So it also gives you all the variable information, stack trace details and so on, whatever that could help you to easily identify the issue and fix it. And it allows you to move through the program execution in both ways, forward as well as backward. So we have seen many of our customers use this capability, and they have actually reduced the debugging time by over 90%. So then there is the unit testing capability, which is going to help to test the various modules, and these unit tests can be reused as part of your releases and help you in regression testing. Okay. So there is a question. I am not very clear about the question. So if you could just clarify the question, it would be great. So the question is there a sample log of these features output in this presentation? Okay, I assume you would like to see a visual of the output of these features. So let's rush through the presentation and see if we have some time to showcase those visuals as well. Instead of pictures, probably we will try to show you the live screens. Okay. So unit test can reduce quite a lot of efforts in regression testing. Also, there is an additional capability which is going to indicate the selected tests that need to be executed to complete your regression testing based on the code changes that you have made. It's called test impact analysis. So automatically it would showcase a list of unit tests that you need to execute to complete your regression instead of running the few hundreds and thousands of unit tests that you have. Okay, looks like we are going too slow on this, so let me rush through this a bit. So when we talk about testers, there are several capabilities that is going to help a tester. The one thing is he has to work with one Visual Studio, one test management tool to get all the best things about testing. So there's web testing, which is the web UI testing. We have load and performance testing. Then there is the UI automation testing. And there's something very interesting called manual testing. I mentioned at the start of this webinar that it is a capability that the tester would execute first time manually, and then it gets automatically converted into a automated test. And then there is rich bugs, which helps testers post complete details about the issues that they need to report to the developer with minimal efforts. Then we have the tool would automatically pick all the relevant information about the bug, include it as part of the defect or bug that they are going to post, reducing the time required in composing the defect information and posting it. Then there is the exploratory testing. It's extremely easy to use, and it is extremely helpful in areas where you don't have predefined test cases to be run through to validate the features of your application. So using this, you can automatically record the steps you are performing, and then you have an option to convert it into a test case, and also reuse those test cases and identify, in case any defects are found, you will be able to post a defect with all the relevant information like steps to reproduce and the data that has been input and so on, so that the effort of reporting unplanned testing results is simplified. And then there is the test and lab management, which is going to not only help in test planning, it also helps in test execution, test reporting, and the lab management piece of that would actually help you in setting up virtual environments on need basis, so that you have the right infrastructure to get started with the testing. Okay, so let me quickly run through a case study. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to post them. We will get back to that in a moment. So about the customer, this customer is a global IT provider of outsourced software product development. They have over 4,000 employees, and they have over 2,000 customers worldwide. They're mostly focused on media and entertainment, travel, hospitality, and many other verticals. So we did a case study with a live project which was an enterprise application built on ASP.NET 4.0, which used WCF, WPF, and so on. And the organization was following the Scrum methodology. This case study was for a period of 2.5 months. So we had covered certain areas and we are showcasing the improvements that the customer found after utilizing the ALM capabilities. So when we talk about designing, and the main focus was that the ease of maintaining the design documentation with respect to the code that is being developed. So we had focused on the reverse engineering part where the diagrams could be synced from the code and could be stored as artifacts, design artifacts. So the customer could straight away see 50% improvement in the reverse engineering process, and they were able to maintain the relevant product design documentation much more easily with the tools available as part of ALM. So with respect to the code quality area, with respect to code analysis only, they could see 50% improvement. So all these improvements are based on the time taken by the relevant development teams to perform these manually or with the help of some other tools for the purpose. So with respect to code metrics, they could see 90% improvements, and code review got reduced by 64%. And with the help of unit tests, they could reduce the regression. So two things were covered in the unit testing. One is the ease of writing the unit test, and then it also covered the regression part. So with respect to writing the tests, we could see 40% improvement in the time taken. And talking about the bug reproduction, we could straight away see a 50% improvement. So the testers could run through their test cycles and quickly post the defects in half the time required otherwise. So with respect to release and deployment, with respect to build, since they were already using MS Build, we could see only 17% of improvement, and with respect to deployment, we could see 11% improvement. So with respect to test automation, talking about smoke testing, the customer could derive a benefit of savings in terms of time of 42%, functional testing again 42%, regression testing 13%, and with respect to UI testing 20%. And as part of this engagement, we have kind of eliminated the need for these tools to be used as part of the software development process. So the customer earlier was actually making use of Excel, which was no longer required to be used. They could work with the web access. Requirements management, they were using Requisite Pro, which again was redundant given the capabilities of the ALM. Build management, they were using the open source cruisecontrol.net. Unit testing, open source NUnit. Code review, it's a Microsoft open source FXCAR. And with respect to automated tests, the customer was making use of QTP. And load and performance test, the load runner, and version control, they were making use of ClearCase. So with the help of the Microsoft ALM solution, we could effectively replace these tools with the out-of-the-box capabilities of the Microsoft ALM solution. So in terms of cost, the customers could save quite a lot. In terms of time in learning each of these individual tools, quite a lot of savings. And the learning curve and integration of each of this tooling, which was close to impossible, could be taken care by the integrated capabilities of the Team Foundation server. So effectively, the customer could reduce almost 80% of the tooling they were using otherwise. Then a lot of other tools and capabilities were introduced, which was mostly new in TFS. So one was the feedback management. So it was a capability where you could have your customers present their feedbacks on the UAT or any other testing directly into the system. So they had to just install a small, tiny little client tool on their systems, review the application, post their comments in text, in voice, as a video, include screenshots and all the other relevant information so that the developer team would understand the inputs and post it back. And this information would directly get into the Team Foundation server, and the developer team could start working on the inputs from the customer. Then we already talked about exploratory testing. Earlier it was being done manually. Now it could be done using the tooling, reducing the time to recreate the defect scenarios and recreate the test cases as well. Then unit testing, we made it a mandatory requirement to post the source code into the server. So we made use of a capability called check-in policies, which was going to validate the conditions we have opted on as part of the Team Foundation server. So only when these requirements have been satisfied, the source code would be pushed into the server. So manual testing was one other capability that we introduced to this team, and they could reduce tremendous amount of time and efforts which was otherwise spent in redoing the manual testing over and over again through the life cycle of the product. So now they had to just perform it once. The tool would record all the actions and it could be replayed back at will. It could also be converted into an automated test anytime. Then storyboarding was one other interesting capability we set up there. So using something familiar and easy as a PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint, the business analyst could present the customer view right in the meeting and help the customer understand the nuances of the requirement and helps the analyst understand the requirement better with a visual depiction of the requirement. So then code reviews anyway was that. App Insight was a new capability included which would give intelligence to the developer team as to what capabilities are being utilized to what extent, in lines with the Google Analytics. So it would be about the application and what features have been used mostly and what features are not, so that the development team gets inputs as to where to put most of the focus on and work on various features to improve the utility as well. So we have overshot the time by a little bit. So if you still have any questions which you couldn't post it on the Q&A panel, you are free to do so now so that we can answer you those questions. The floor is open for questions. I think we have a couple of minutes for that. Okay, so we have a couple of questions. So one is licensing. So licensing is fairly simple. There is a concept of MSDN. So if you go in for MSDN, you have all the tooling, all the software necessary for your development needs coming as part of that. There are few variants. It's like MSDN Professional, MSDN with Visual Studio Professional, MSDN with Visual Studio Premium and Ultimate. So the tooling that you would get would differ depending on the SKU that you are going to choose. So there are various options. So depending on the softwares that you require, you could go for either the MSDN with Visual Studio Pro or Visual Studio Premium or Visual Studio Ultimate. So Visual Studio Ultimate is the highest SKU. So it would give you not only Visual Studio, Team Foundation Server, it also would give you the server operating systems, client operating systems like Windows 8 and so on. It gives you MS Office. It would give you the other servers like SharePoint, Exchange Server, and so on. So the licensing cost varies according to the SKU that you choose, and it's all available on the Microsoft site. So we have one more question. What graphical debugging does Visual Studio provide? So Visual Studio, the debugging would be similar to what was available earlier, with the only difference of the IntelliTrace, where it allows you to debug in the forward direction or the reverse, depending on the need. So, and it also provides for some documenting capabilities where you can visualize your code in a diagrammatic form. So there are a lot of capabilities to derive your class diagrams and basically visualize your code and identify the dependencies and impacts that could occur on a module in case some changes are to be done on a certain module. So it is similar to what was available earlier with additional capabilities, not exactly very graphical as such. So we have one more question. How can someone engage Canarys, and what would be the process to be followed? So the way to engage us is once you talk to us, we would have initial meetings to understand your requirements. Then we usually start off with an ALM assessment, which is going to give you and us a perspective of the process maturity that you are in currently, the tooling landscape, and mostly with the discussions with the project teams, get a fair idea on the various pain points that the team requires to be addressed. So then, based on the inputs from the ALM assessment, we would actually draw out a roadmap and present you with a clear-cut schedule as to what capabilities would be implemented and when. And not only we provide this information, we also work closely with your teams in implementing these capabilities as part of your live project. And once the engagement comes to a close, we would do a second round of ALM assessment to understand the current level of maturity and tooling and the effectiveness that has been achieved out of this implementation. So based on this, we would be able to present you numbers similar to what you saw earlier in the case study as to how much percentage of improvement has been seen in various phases as part of the software development cycle. I hope that answers the question. I guess we are quite out of time, and we had a request for some of the features to be demonstrated. Please write back to us. We can organize a detailed session showcasing all these capabilities, not by visuals, live demonstrations. Thank you for your understanding and patience. So I guess we have come to the end of the presentation. So unless you have any more questions, we could close the session.